Hello. So this video is on how to create healthy boundaries. This is actually something we did at the college, but it could be helpful anywhere. So, how to create healthy boundaries. An intimate relationship is one in which neither party silences, sacrifices, or betrays the self, and each party expresses strength and vulnerability, weakness and competence in a balanced way. This was said by Harriet Lerner. Setting boundaries is essential if you want to be both physically and emotionally healthy. Creating healthy boundaries is empowering. By recognizing the need to set and enforce limits, you protect yourself. You protect your self esteem, maintain self respect, and enjoy healthy relationships. Unhealthy boundaries cause emotional pain that can lead to dependency, depression, anxiety, and even stress induced physical illness. A lack of boundaries is like leaving the door to your home unlocked. Including anyone, including unwelcome guests, can enter at will. On the other hand, having too rigid boundaries can lead to isolation. Leaving like living in a locked up castle surrounded by a moat. No one can get in and you can't get out. So, what are boundaries? Boundaries are guidelines, rules, or limits that a person creates to identify for themselves what are reasonable, safe, and permissible ways for other people to behave around them and how they will respond when someone steps outside those limits. The easiest way to think about a boundary is a property line. We have all seen no trespassing signs, which send a clear message that if you violate that boundary, there will be a consequence. This type of boundary is easy to picture and understand because you can see the sign and the border it protects. Personal boundaries can be harder to define because the lines are invisible and can change and are unique to each individual. Personal boundaries, just like the no trespassing sign, define where you end and others begin, and are determined by the amount of physical and emotional space you allow between yourself and others. Personal boundaries help you decide what types of communication, behaviors, and interactions are acceptable. So why is it important to set boundaries? To protect self-care and self-respect, to communicate your needs in a relationship, to make time and space for positive interactions, and to set limits in a relationship in a way that is healthy. Physical boundaries. Physical boundaries provide a barrier between you and an intruding force, like a band-aid protects a wound from bacteria. Physical boundaries include your body, sense of personal space, sexual orientation, and privacy. These boundaries are expressed through clothing, shelter, noise tolerance, verbal instructions, and body language. An example of a physical boundary violation would be a close talker. Your immediate and automatic response is to step back in order to reset your personal space. By doing this, you send a nonverbal message that when this person stands so close, you feel an invasion of your personal space. If the person continues to move closer, you might verbally protect your boundary by telling him or her to stop crowding you. Other examples of physical boundary invasions are inappropriate touching, such as unwanted sexual advances, looking through other personal files and emails, and not allowing others their personal space. Emotional and intellectual boundaries. These boundaries protect your sense of self-esteem and ability to separate your feelings from others. When you have weak emotional boundaries, it's like getting caught in the midst of a hurricane with no protection. You expose yourself to being greatly affected by others' words, thoughts, and actions, and end up feeling bruised, wounded, and battered. These include beliefs, behaviors, choices, sense of responsibility, and the ability to be intimate with others. Example of emotional and intellectual boundaries invasions are not knowing how to separate your feelings from your partner's, sacrificing your plans, dreams, and goals in order to please others, not taking responsibility for yourself, and blaming others for your problems. Barriers to boundary setting. It seems obvious that no one would want his or her boundaries violated, so why do we allow it? Why do we not enforce our boundaries? Fear of rejection and ultimately abandonment, fear of confrontation, guilt. We are not taught healthy boundaries, and safety concerns. So, assess the current state of your boundaries. Healthy boundaries allow you to have high self-esteem and self-respect. Share personal information gradually in a mutually sharing and trusting relationship. Protect physical and emotional space from intrusion. Have an equal partnership where responsibility and power are shared. Be assertive, confidently and truthfully say yes or no. Be okay when others say no to you. Separate your needs, thoughts, feelings, and desires from others. Recognize that your boundaries and needs are different from others. Empower yourself to make healthy choices and take responsibility for yourself. Unhealthy boundaries are characterized by sharing too much information too soon, feeling responsible for others' happiness, inability to say no for fear of rejection or abandonment, weak sense for your own identity, disempowerment, you allow others to make decisions for you. So, tips for setting healthy boundaries. Um, when you identify the need to set a boundary, do it clearly, calmly, firmly, respectfully, and in as few words as possible. Do not justify, get angry, or apologize for the boundary you are setting. You are not responsible for the other person's reaction to the boundary you are setting. You are only responsible for communicating your boundary in a respectful manner. If it upsets them, know it is their problem. Some people, especially those accustomed to controlling, abusing, and manipulating you, might test you. Plan on it. Expect it, but remain firm. Remember, your behavior must match the boundary you are setting. You cannot successfully establish a clear boundary if you send mixed messages by apologizing. At first, you will probably feel selfish, guilty, or embarrassed when you set a boundary. Do it anyway, and remind yourself you have a right to self-care. Setting boundaries takes practice and determination. Don't let anxiety, fear, or guilt prevent you from taking care of yourself. When you feel angry or resentment, or find yourself whining or complaining, you probably need to set a boundary. Listen to yourself, determine what you need to do or say, then communicate assertively. Listening to set healthy boundaries takes time. It is a process. Set them in your own time frame, not when someone else tells you. Develop a support system of people who respect your right to set boundaries. Eliminate toxic persons from your life, those who want to manipulate, abuse, and control you. So that was all. I actually recently had to do this and remove some negative people from my life, but anyway, thanks for watching.